tutorial sort of properly. When a few people get on, I'll go into that. If you saw my post, you'll know a bit about it on the sort of community page, whatever it's called, channel page. But yeah, the good thing is now, I can't obviously guarantee it will be every day or whatever. I should be able to get back into doing a lot more regular videos and streams for the foreseeable future. Definitely through December and stuff like that. So I'm just going to check the stream settings, because again, I know quite often these have totally different settings on the mobile than the actual PC bit, and I don't want to connect an encoder. I want to see the thing that I'm currently doing. Yeah, there we go. All right, they've got a completely new interface for streaming on the PC. So I'm going to try and read the messages on the PC screen just because it's easier. I'll just pause my live overview. Cheers, everyone. So, all right, what's that? Quo Stars. All right, Shanzan Love 2598. And all right, was a J0884. A load of names in a row that are quite hard to read. Glad you like the gas mask videos. At the moment, sadly, I won't really be getting any new gas masks or anything for a while because if anybody saw my post, I had to quit my job. Yeah, pretty similar shade of blue. I think they're slightly different, but yeah, thank you. But yeah, let me check the settings are correct. But again, now I have to check because everything's moved around. This looks like a better that's what, so they've now got the dual stream option. Obviously I can't do that because I'm vertical streaming, but next time I stream with a webcam, I'll have to try that. So yeah, anyway, so there's loads of new streaming options. So this is a completely new interface. I'm new to this. Oh wow, you can watch it back when it's finished, Cairo Johnson. So yeah, like I was saying to people, the I won't be able to afford buying much surplus for the meantime. I won't go into it too much, mostly mental health reasons. It was, like the job I'm doing now, or was doing, became very, very different to what it was when I first started, and really enjoyed it. So there was things going on in my personal life as well, yeah, but it was also, all right, Roach Maximum. So it was one of those things where, it was a very different job to when I started doing it. There was workplace bullying going on, not just towards me, but other people. I definitely wasn't getting it as bad as some people, but it was one of those things where basically mentally, again, I don't want to go into too much like personal mental health detail on here, but it was one of those things where every week I'd be getting anxiety and dreading going into work at the weekend, in case something happened, and all that. And then it was just a general thing of, how busy it was. Because obviously I'd have personally rather worked a proper notice period and stuff like that. But I had one of those weeks where the shift was so bad on a Sunday that, I was just thought, I can't bear any more of this now. But I won't go too much into that. But like I was saying, the main thing is now I can at least do more YouTube stuff for the time being. Once Christmas is over, I'll start looking for other jobs that are sort of near where I live, that are actually things that, I'd like to do or whatever. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, again, if you're doing something that's essentially nearly minimum wage, I think there's only so much you can take as a human being before you say, no, this is not worth my sanity and health and everything else. And again, because my ulcerative colitis has been quite bad for the last few months. I was having the issues where I was being ill with that, and then, potentially, missing days at work because I was sick with that, and then people at work saying, "Oh yeah, I bet you were skiving off," kind of thing. That kind of attitude. So that that made my sort of anxiety towards that even worse, if you like. I do some gaming stuff. Like I said, I'll do some gaming streams at some point soon, although YouTube's made the rules even stricter on gaming stuff again, just like they've got even stricter where they took my stream down a few weeks ago because we were talking too much about guns. There's now even more stuff about like violence in video games when you do a stream. So it's one of those really sort of annoying things where I don't know too much what I'd be able to stream or not, like games wise. I'm sure most games would still be fine, and it's probably they're doing that as like a rule just against the really kind of extreme sort of, like violent games, whatever. I was saying that, but mask history type thing will be on a normal video, not on stream. But yeah, all right, Squid Manon. But so yeah, so like, all right, RS Archery Warbow. Is that you, Rich? Is that like your new username? Like I said, I've not really been on properly for a couple of weeks, like I was saying to people, because of all the stuff that's been going on in my personal life. But yeah, and like the other thing, the problem where I worked is as well is in the winter. All right, cool, yeah. In the winter, because they recirculate the air in the building, if somebody has a cold or an infection or whatever, and I'm immunocompromised anyway, like everyone gets it. So like it would basically be a thing now that every weekend I go in, I'd pick up a new bug and feel just like shit with that for, a couple of days per week, assuming I didn't get COVID again or, a really nasty flu strain. Because one of my mates at the moment has that current flu strain that's going around, and he's really fucking ill with it. Like he's been at home sounding terrible, not wanting to do anything for like a week. Feels like last week was quite a long time ago. But yeah, so like I said, I'm on the mend, at least myself, a bit. And like I said, I'm still kind of getting to terms with the fact that, I'm not having to structure my week around, doing like 10-hour shifts on a Saturday and 9-hour shifts on a Sunday or whatever. So like I said, that would be good, because again, doing live streams at the weekends, a lot more people are on to watch. But when I, worked at the weekends, I'd never have the energy to do it. And then if I had it booked off as holiday, it generally meant because I was doing something. So, like I said, it's one of those things that at the moment I'm sort of coming to terms with, in a sense. Might sound a bit weird, but it's, when you've been... I worked at that place since 2018, so yeah, when you've been working at a place for like 7 years or whatever it is, would be 7 years if it was 2018. Because yeah, I definitely started before December in 2018. I think I started there around August 2018. When you're so used to the routine of it, it becomes yeah, thanks, Rich. Don't forget to like the stream, as Rich said, because yeah, apparently saying don't forget to like and subscribe and all that shit when you're doing a video does actually mean that YouTube shares them more and more people do it. Because apparently some channels have done the thing where they say that on every video, and now and again when they do a video where they forget to say it, they'll be like, it has only a quarter of the likes, and the views are always lower, even if it's on a more interesting subject or whatever. So yeah, so this new YouTube live stream interface looks interesting. If I get a chance tomorrow, I'll do a webcam stream on it, and then I'll see if I can do this dual stream thing they're on about. And what that is obviously you do have the webcam in landscape, and then you can have it vertical for phones like I'm doing at the moment, and it will send that out to people that are watching on a phone, where you just crop it to where you are, and it does the vertical bit like that. So that sounds quite good, but this is the first time I've actually seen the interface say I can do it. So yeah, so like I said, I've got a load of video backlog as well I want to get done, like with that Matuk, some of the anti-stab protection stuff I bought and all that stuff. Yeah, a lot of the ideas YouTube came up with recently do actually sound good compared to the ones where, as a person that does YouTube videos, you look at them and think, But yeah, one of the other things is, I don't know if they've set this up yet, but there's a thing where you can apparently, like, say I want to do a stream of Weapon Collector or somebody, apparently you can do that through YouTube now, where both of you can essentially, you can invite somebody onto your stream. That's good, Rich. So yeah, we know it's working. Because like I said, I've actually got the option for it now. Because Mike asked me like a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, had I had the option yet, and I'd looked and said no. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that would definitely be a good thing to do. If I'd have known that before I started this one, I'd have set up my webcam. But obviously, I didn't think before I started this one that I'd have had the option. But yeah, this is more just to let people know that I'm backing around and that. But like I said, I've had a bit of a rough time of it recently, and like I said, I won't go into it too much detail. At some point, if I feel more like talking about it, I might do a proper video on it. But the thing is, some of the stuff I talk about in that video is subjects YouTube gets funny about. you know, to do with things. I won't go into it now, but you know, it's just one of those things where you know, a lot of these platforms say, oh, we like people talking about all of these personal issues and things like that, because isn't that great and understanding and all that? And then when people talk about it, they go, oh no, that makes people want to self-harm or whatever. So yeah, so like I said, so yeah, I'm in obviously a very weird period at the moment, because I'm not having to structure my week around thinking, right, you know, I need to get whatever done on these days because I'm at work at the weekend. And then that also means on a Monday I won't be totally exhausted either. So it'll be really good for getting content done, and also just seeing family members and friends and things like that. Because like I said, until I find a new job, and like I said, I'm not going to even bother starting to look to until partway through January, because, you know, I want to actually enjoy Christmas and not immediately, you know, start trying to send applications into places for like Christmas temp work or whatever. You know, at least have more time for YouTube. The thing I have to be, like saying, I have to be really careful. I can't really buy any surplus now at the moment because I'll need to watch my money really carefully. And what I'll also, I've already been doing it, but I've been going through and checking like anything like Netflix subscriptions or anything like that I can cancel, you know, because I need to make sure that, you know, I've not just randomly got bills going out that I'm not prepared for now. But the thing is, I should be able to do enough that I could actually survive on this. But at the same time, you know, I'd actually want to get out and be doing a job again. It's just I want to be doing something I actually like doing, and you know, mental health wise is, you know, good for me. So it's just that sort of thing at the moment. So yeah, so like I said, there's probably a lot of upcoming videos I need to get done. The next one I want to properly do is on the anti-stab collar thing, because that would be quite interesting, I think, because they give you the test material with it that's the same material as the thing, so you can put that on some towels or whatever and try slashing it and stabbing it to get confidence that your thing will work. But they say on that, you know, you need to put it on a bit of meat or some like towels or whatever, not on a hard surface, because obviously if you do it on a hard surface, you might penetrate where normally you wouldn't. And then the good thing with stuff like that is I can do affiliate links to them anyway. But yeah, like if people didn't see me say I got banned from the eBay affiliate program by the sound of it, because officially it's because I didn't declare well enough that when I was saying I was, you know, going to put affiliate links in a video or whatever, that, you know, they're affiliate things and I will be getting money back from them and blah, 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 blah. But because they only did it on one video that they made a complaint about, and that was one to do with like knife crime and, you know, stab vests and stuff like that, I reckon it was more of a political thing. But, you know, they don't want you talking about certain things or affiliating certain products. So I thought, fuck them. I'm not going to, like, you know, edit the videos or whatever so I can get a bit of money off of it. Because, again, with a lot of affiliate things as well, the money is basically peanuts. I think, like, on eBay, for every £100 on most products people spend, you might get £1 back. So it's not like, you know, it might be once a year I might be able to cash out 50 to 100 quid of it if loads of people bought stuff. So I'm not going to play by their rules for stuff like that. I'd rather just make good videos. And like I said, but the AliExpress affiliate stuff at least seems, you know, they seem much, much better in terms of, what you call it, you know, like, you know, as long as I suppose you're not telling people to click the links and then refund it or something, they don't seem to care. You know, if you're doing a video on like stabbings and then you want to link to stab protective stuff on AliExpress, they don't care. You know, that's them getting the thing. So anyway, that's going on with that. But yeah, so at the moment I'm actually thinking, what game shall I get around to playing properly? Now I need to check, I won't start downloading it now, just in case it messes with my internet connection, even though I'm on good internet now. But Cyberpunk, I really ought to get around to playing that. No, I don't have it installed. So as soon as I finish this stream, I am going to install Cyberpunk, because that's, again, I won't do a shad one. I don't mind doing long form videos every now and then, Rich, because some people really like long form videos. But yeah, I also think there's a few other things he did that I wouldn't recommend doing. Yeah, because the thing is, I know it was really obviously broken at launch, and it's one of those things where you know, I bought it on Steam sale when it was still quite broken, and then I thought, oh, when they fix it, I'll get around to installing it, and then it was just one of those things where you know, again, because of work and everything else, I never got round to it. So this is the period when I really ought to be loading up on games and actually, you know, enjoying myself a bit. MM1s never used to be rare at all because they used to be like the Soviet Union's primary like tank crewman's gas mask and like other vehicle crewmen's. So, you know, you'd think that every guy that was assigned to a vehicle, they might have an MM1. You know, like if they're crew members, drivers, things like that. They weren't rare at all. The problem was obviously that just it was however much stock got into the Western world, and then, you know, that's, you know, sold, lots of it sold now. And you know, it's like a lot of things that people scalp the prices and whatever else. But yeah, when I got my first MM1, that was £30 for the complete MM1 kit, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting mask. I hadn't seen that before, and that was back in about 2010, 2011. And it's just one of those things where, again, but with any surplus gas mask, you know, when they're not in production anymore, you've got a limited supply, so you are going to have that problem of you know, supply is just going to dry up at some point. Yeah, again, it's just one of those things, annoyingly, that, yeah, the MM1 used to be easy to get because, like I said, that guy's got one on there. But yeah, it used to be super easy to get them, but sadly, it's one of those masks now. I've just had a message I need to reply to. So there's me. I think I can manually do an ad break. Look, let's do that and test that while I reply to a message. Right, so yeah. But yeah, the problem is, if I'm back, is that what you call it? Like any surplus, it dries up. It also depends where you are geographically, because there's lots of masks apparently people in America struggle to get that are really easy to find in like European countries, and vice versa, you know. So it's one of those things where, depending on where you live, sometimes you can find people selling them easily, sometimes you can't. So I'm just going to mark that message as read. Again, the problem is when you say to somebody, I'm doing a stream or whatever, I can't chat right now, and then they like reply to you with a thumbs up or whatever, like, still now giving me an unread message. But yeah. But yeah, and the other thing, like I can't remember if I've already mentioned this, what I might do is start sorting through a load of the surplus junk I've got in the house and start selling some of it. And again, a lot of it I might just sell quite cheap just to, you know, get a bit of extra money and then clear some space. And this will be the stuff I'm not really going to do anything with, you know, that I've done videos on. There's not much else to say on it. Obviously, the stuff I really like, I'm going to keep. But at the moment, I don't know what I'm going to, you know, and I'm not going to be, you know, spending like days at a time digging through stuff to do loads of listings in a day. I'm probably just going to every now and then, as I tidy stuff, think, yeah, I don't want that anymore, and then sell it. What won the French M51? And if you're from Australia, then I assume it's just because, yeah, your continent's going to be a bit out of the way for most of the people commercially just shipping stuff to a major sort of country block. But the French M51 shouldn't fit a GP5 filter. But again, it's one of those, well, again, the weird thing, right, is if you have GOST filters, they kind of sometimes fit fine onto a NATO thread, but not the other way around, because of the picture GOST filters. But again, you should always try and use a NATO filter with a NATO mask. But yeah, again, it's like I've had a couple of GOST masks where certain, but you know, not most NATO threaded filters fit on them. But I think that's just because of weird designs on that particular filter. Sadly, Planes can't talk about that on here, seeing as I got the previous stream taken down for talking about stuff like that. Yeah, again, speaking of competition and prices going crazy and stuff like that. Yeah, again, it's just probably a case of the filter you used was just the right thread pitch to make a seal with the O-ring. But again, it's like saying it's not one of the things you want to guarantee your life on. You know, I'd only want to ever use good quality NATO filters with a good NATO mask, my own protection sort of thing. And again, you're probably just doing that for fun, weren't you? Something as old as an M51. But yeah, speaking of stuff like that, Rich, where stuff went, stuff's going crazy because of supply and demand. RAM and PCI, not PCI, RAM and solid state drives at the moment are going into silly money because of all the AI data centers are buying them up. So basically, a bit like when everybody was buying GPUs for mining and they drove up the price of graphics cards to silly amounts. The same thing is now happening with RAM and SSDs for, like hard drives, essentially, although they're SSDs, but when I say hard drive, I think more people know what I mean. So it's now this kind of really annoying thing where if you were thinking about getting a new PC, your price of it has probably doubled overnight, where, a gaming PC that might have been £2,000 is now probably £4,000. What coat are you on about, Obi Waltelt? Because if you made a previous comment, your comment didn't turn up. So just out of nowhere, you've said that you can inflate this coat, but what coat are you on about? You can inflate a coat into a small raft, but I don't know what coat you're on about because the message didn't come through. YouTube censored it. Kind of facial-wise, the design's similar, but the GP4 obviously has the hose. Which MC1 do you mean, though? Because I think there's a couple of MC1s, isn't there? Because there's a Polish gas mask I'm trying to remember the name of. And no, it's definitely not the Polish MC1, but there's a Polish mask that is basic. Is it the Polish ML gas mask? Let me have a look. And that is basically just a GP4. Yeah, the Polish ML is basically a GP4. Yeah, I was speaking about that earlier, Oliver. But yeah, they kind of look similar facially, but they're not really the same. But if you put a hose on a MC1 or a CM3, they'd kind of have the look, I suppose, of a budget, GP4 if you wanted to do it that way. Is your MCU 2P in a condition where like all the straps are good and it's not clouded up or anything? Because if so, you could probably at least easily get at least £100 for it. But again, I don't really know because I'm a bit out of the loop. And like I said, I'm at the thing at the moment where I don't really even want to look at listings for things because I don't want to tempt myself at the moment to spend money I can't afford to spend. And that's the problem I get if I start looking. Oh, Polish Amoeba NBC poncho. That's pretty cool. Again, I'm going to regret looking this up, assuming it's not something I already own. Because again, the problem is when you have so much surplus. Let me just search Polish NBC poncho inflatable. And then it's going to probably come up weird fetish stuff. But it's, according to AI, it's the Czech Army VOP-63 NBC poncho, not a Polish one, assuming that the AI is not lying. But there might be a Polish variant of it, because obviously the Poles and the Czechs shared a lot of stuff. So let me just search then Czech VOP-63 suit. Oh yeah, that's weird. It literally, yeah. Yeah, it literally yeah, has a giant fucking thing on it. There's one in stock, and this is the problem now. Right. This is going to be the only thing of this I buy like this for this month of December. This will be my Christmas present for myself. And that's it. Because like I said, the problem is if I've not got an actual proper job other than YouTube now for a bit, I really can't afford to just spend money on stuff like this. So that's it. If anybody else asks me to look up anything that is available on eBay or whatever, then I'm not doing it. But I was expecting that to be like a £200 sort of thing. So yeah, don't forget to like the stream. The one I've got then, it's probably a different one. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll get the Czech one anyway, and I can compare them. If I've done a video on the Polish one and I've still got it, I know where that will be, but it'll be in a place I can't easily access it. It'll be at the bottom of a cupboard full of, literally full of NBC suits. Okay, so but yeah, that's pretty standard with them anyway. Roach, the visors going a bit yellow. So yeah, so the problem is, yeah, the problem with MCU2Ps is that because of the rubbers they made them out of, cheers, Charlie. Because of the rubbers they made them out of, you know, they do just discolor. It's one of those things where if they used a better, different rubber for the visor, it would have been fine, or you know, some other sort of plastic. But I guess because they wanted it as a foldable rubber, because it's a problem like the Polish MP5 has. The guy just bringing that up, Kevin. That has a similar thing where over time it kind of goes orangey yellow because of the rubber used, like the transparent rubber kind of ages. But yeah, I still reckon you could get 100 quid for it easily. But like I said, I don't know because I don't look at listings of things like this on purpose at the moment. KIP rebreathers, I don't know. Let me look at what they are. Right, if they're the old, like, so the ones I've got like that, I have in terms of like, are these the underwater rebreathers or the land-based ones? Because I've got the, what is it, the IP4M, I think it's called, which is like actually a really good Soviet mask because it's got an oral nasal cup and a voice diaphragm on it. And that's a rebreather, but that's like a land-based one. And I've got an IP5 somewhere as well. They're the two of those sort of type of things I've got. But yeah, I think, Kevin, that's pretty much an inevitability with those sort of things. I don't know if anybody's figured out like a particular rubber or whatever that you can make on a mask like that. All right, Rodin, so I guess that's Rajiv, that doesn't, you know, discolor. Yeah, I'm much better now, thanks. I don't know if you saw my post the other day, but yeah, recently, so for the people who joined later and didn't hear when I was talking at the start of the stream, recently I had to basically hand my notice in at work because my mental health there was just getting really bad. You know, like a lot of the days in the week I was just dreading going into work. And then, you know, I was just feeling absolutely exhausted and that for the start of the week once I'd finished work. So I'm still kind of processing the fact I don't have a job now. Well, you know, I can do YouTube and that. Yeah, so that's why I haven't been in contact with people, if they're wondering on here, because literally it was because of obviously sorting my own shit out and, you know, handing my notice in. In terms of planning on doing, until after Christmas, absolutely fuck all, because I don't want the stress of anything at the moment. And then, yeah, now, that's all right. Like I said, I think it's the better choice for me, though. That's the thing, is it's one of those decisions I had to come to. And I think at the end of the day, without going into too much detail, it was better for me to do that than, you know, stay in a job which was basically damaging my mental health, you know, especially where I have problems with my colitis and that recently. That was what I was saying to people, is that, you know, I've got physical health issues at the moment. and then you're compounding that with like workplace stress and like thinking, oh, I can't be too sick to go. Yeah, Oliver, cheers. Yeah, but like I was saying, that's the thing is, like, the good thing is for me is my rent isn't exactly very expensive. I've got the YouTube stuff that, although it's not reliable income, does bring money in. At the moment, because I've not got a car, I'm not paying car insurance, car tax, stuff like that. As long as I'm careful with spending. Yeah, Kevin, I know a lot of people that have recommended that, but like I said, at the moment, I really don't know. I'm going to look after Christmas. Like I said, and do that. But like I said, yeah, that was the thing, Rajiv, that, like I was saying, what my original plan was survival through Christmas, because the company I work for, I've been there for 7 years. The plan originally was make it, through Christmas, hope that the job got better in January, and then if it didn't, like, look for another job while I was still working there in January. That was going to be my original plan, but, just because of how busy all the festive stuff got, lots of stuff going on in my personal life, it just got to that stage where, in terms of like probably having some sort of breakdown or whatever, that was literally the only option for it, was to just say, no, I can't do this anymore. It's, it's soul destroying and whatever else. And again, a lot of my co-workers that I really got on with have already, given their notice in that I've worked with for years as well. It's just one of those things where I thought, oh, I can stick it out a bit longer, and then I just totally, and that's like, and then what I want to make really clear, even though, like, I on purposely don't say on here where I work and all that, because like doxing type stuff and whatever else. A lot of my co-workers were brilliant. It wasn't anything like that. It was, there were a couple of people I didn't like where I worked that did workplace bullying, and like I say, not just to me, to a lot of other people. But the main thing was just the job was so different now than the job I first started. It's one of those jobs where if I had to apply for it, I wouldn't apply for it. But, it's over time, the job changed and changed and changed. And then, and it was one of those jobs that a lot of the time when people, quit or whatever, retired, they weren't replaced, or they'd be replaced by somebody on less hours. So everybody's individual workload would keep going up. So, yeah, so yeah, that's the thing exactly, Ronin, Rajiv. It's just that it was one of those things where, like, in terms of my general health, I thought I'd rather take the financial hit and take the financial hit and then sort my own shit out, and then look for something I want to do or think I can manage quite well, rather than keep sticking it out while trying to sort stuff out, because it turned out that method, although it's the one that you'd think would make the most financial sense and everything, and it's the one most people would recommend you do, is the one I thought in the end. The thing is, there's some jobs that if I could do them, I would absolutely love doing. Like if somebody said to me, and again, I bet you need loads of bloody qualifications for this that would cost loads of money to get. And, you need to work in very specific areas. So you'd have to basically find a place to live near a thing. I would love to do a radiologist kind of, radiation survey type thing, where I just keep a bit like a security guard, but you're patrolling along with a Geiger counter or whatever, taking measurements and just jotting them down, and then just logging them in at the end of the day, and then potentially having to go out now and again to somewhere to take readings if they think it's a bit off. I don't mind being told what to do if it's reasonable expectations, and people are grateful that you've done it. One of the things that's gotten to me with various jobs I've done is when you're told to do stuff, you do it to the best of your ability, and then you're still told that was shit, you should have done better, and it's like, well, that's not my normal job to do it, kind of thing. And then it's like, so you're being told to do stuff you don't. Micromanaging is one of the things that does really get to me, because I've had that in various jobs where, you start doing something and then get told to do something else, then get told to do something else. But like I said, with my current job, it wasn't like there was any one thing in particular. Yeah, cheers, Retro Delights. I am at the moment. but like I said, I don't want it to sound like the whole company I work for was bad or anything. It wasn't. It's just like I said, there was a load of different factors that, like I said, it's the main thing was just it was such a different. Yeah, but I'd only want to do it with people I know and that would trust me to do it with their dogs, if you know what I mean, Saint. It's one of those things that I only like, because I obviously don't. I feel responsible for the people's dogs if I'm doing that. So it's one of those ones where I want to know the dogs and what their temperament's like, and all that sort of stuff, and what the owner's like. But yeah, the thing is, Oliver, like you saying that, when I handed my notice in and said to a couple of people I work with about it, and I was expecting them to, be like, oh, a lot of them were like, no, your health comes first, mate. Good on you. So that really did please me, because I was dreading for a few days after, leaving, that some people that still had me on like WhatsApp and that were going to be really judgmental about it. But most of them were like, no, good on you. Let's go out for drinks at some point, whatever, before Christmas. And I thought, oh, that's really sweet, because, I was expecting it to be the opposite. I was expecting a lot of my co-workers to be like, oh, yeah, you left us in the shit now because you've handed in your notice. And I think that was one of the other things that, with a lot of people, when you think about jobs, you sort of think, oh, I can't hand my notice in because then my co-workers will get too much work. But yeah, that's exactly it. It's down to what you can do, isn't it? Not what other people, can do. Yeah, I know it shouldn't, but I'm just saying it was one of those things that was just a nice surprise. That, because that's like I said, some of the people I work with are actually really, really good people. It's just like, they're saying the problem is that sometimes a job just eventually gets to you. And like I said, the main thing for me, I know I keep repeating myself, is the job I was doing recently was almost a totally different job than the one I first started doing that I applied for. So, but like I said, at the moment, I'm still kind of processing it, because I've only had one weekend at the moment since I, gave my notice in. So I'm still not really over the feeling yet that, I've not just had a weekend off on holiday or whatever. But yeah, what were you doing at the start of COVID, if you don't mind me asking? Because I know you've told me before you did about like the British Museum and that, but again, I imagine a lot of retail jobs would have been absolutely hell in COVID if you were forced to stay open and then had to deal with everything while being forced to stay open. Okay, yeah. One thing that I've probably said about before, it's probably something I'd bring up if we were playing The Last of Us 2 in the aquarium stuff, which is quite sad, is there used to be a really interesting thing in Torquay called Living Coast that closed down. And I was really sad that closed down, because it was one of those things wherever if I went to Torquay, I'd go around that, and it was like where they had a load of netting up so they could have like wild flying birds and like, like ponds with various like water animals in. And they did have a bit of an underwater aquarium thing. Like the actual structure is still there, because I think it's one of those things where hopefully some sort of deal might be done where it eventually gets sold to like either a scientific research type, like wildlife studying kind of thing, and it's used like that even if it's not open like a zoo, or it will be turned back into a zoo again sort of thing. But yeah, it's just sad, because obviously it was like a really nice kind of attraction that was done by some sort of like wildlife type thing. It wasn't like like a big zoo company that ran it, and it was a really good sort of like educational sort of thing. And then yeah, apparently they just essentially died during COVID. They had to give all the animals to different zoos and whatever else, because because obviously they weren't allowed to be open during COVID, and then obviously they needed money of people coming in and looking at it to survive. I'll link to what that was now, just so people know what I'm on about, because it's one of those things where if you're in the UK, you might have been to it. Oh, there's actually a thing from this year on it with BBC. So let me link to this. So there is some good news regarding it. Hang on. So this isn't the article about what the thing actually was, but there you go. But yeah, it says not much here. So The deal has been agreed with Ark Marine, a marine habitat restoration company, to take over the Living Coast site in Torquay, Devon, and turn it into a state-of-the-art marine restoration centre. So yeah, that doesn't say too much about what it is, but that sounds like it might be a similar thing. So marine restoration, that might be like they use it to, like they have it as a zoo, but they use it to breed endangered species of like marine life or whatever. But like I said, it was just one of those real shame things. If I don't already have what retro delights, your previous comment didn't come through. Yeah, and see you, Roach. Have a good afternoon, evening. Because I think it gets dark so early now. Yeah, but it's... Yeah, I need to pull the curtains in the house when I finish this, even though it's only just gone 4 o'clock. Again, that's another thing I suppose nice. That's nice if I'm not working weekends over the winter now, is that, you know, I'll actually have days where I can get up in the sun and, you know, enjoy the sunlight, not, you know, go to work when it's dark and come home when it's dark. No, I can't see it. Obviously, YouTube has decided whatever you've typed is something you're not allowed to type. You know, for no reason whatsoever how YouTube works. But yeah, it, like I said, the original thing was really good. But like I said, because like I said, but I always think of it though, Rajiv, when I do The Last of Us 2 and you're doing the aquarium stuff, you know, like the Abbey aquarium bits, it always makes me think of it. Right. M85 gas mask kit on eBay. What, the Romanian M85 or something different? I've already got a Romanian M85, but remember I said I can't buy stuff at the moment. So it's one of those things where, like I said, at the moment, I don't want people saying to me, oh, have you seen this is on eBay? Because like I said, I can't look at things and get tempted. I've already ordered an MVC suit this stream, which I promised myself I wouldn't do. All right, that's a really good price for other people that are interested. But yeah, I've already got one and an M74. But yeah, for other people that are interested, I might recommend it to them. But it's not like I can do an affiliate link now to it, is it? Because eBay, like I said, banned me for doing affiliate stuff because of probably political reasons over what I was linking to. But yeah, good for other people. I said, like, gas masks, at least YouTube doesn't have a problem with me talking about either. But like I said, the problem as well is that... Oh, that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, because like I said as well, I'd like to get back into driving and everything again, and then obviously that opens up a lot of jobs to me. But the problem is, like I was saying, is affording a car and all the fucking costs that come with a car nowadays if you don't have a job already lined up. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Again, the only light gun games I've really played is it Time Crisis and obviously House of the Dead. And again, annoyingly, Rajiv, I bet we can't talk too much about light guns on here because of how strict YouTube's got about talking about guns on live streams. So yeah, that again, that's another annoying thing. Like I said, where I had that stream taken down the like a few weeks ago, where just because we were talking too much about that sort of stuff, more of the, you know, like actual bang bang type, that they decided yeah, that was a violation of their guns on a live stream policy. So like I said, I have to be quite careful about even talking about that, because again, it's because some of the rules are so vague that, you know, you have to be really, really careful now, because it's not like they explicitly say you can mention these things but not these things. Like, it's mostly, like they said, obviously handling the things on the live stream, and on that stream I never picked up anything. You know, like at worst the camera might have picked up the back of something, you know, for a split second if I moved the camera, and that was it on that stream. But, you know, I think it was more because we spent, I think, like 15 minutes on that stream talking about them. And obviously they took it down at the point we were talking about those sort of things. So, yeah, that's what I find weird is it's actually a gun that would be really expensive on its own. Yeah. I saw that in Alien Earth, whatever it's called, they use Styrogs, I think it was, for they're like one with, you know, bits added onto it to make it look like some sort of pulse rifle. But anyway, we'll stop talking about that subject now. I won't carry on streaming too much longer today, just because, like I said, this is more one to let people know that I was, you know, alive still, and you know what was going on. But oh yeah, and don't forget to like the stream, anybody that's not liked the stream yet. I haven't watched it yet, but again, binge watching television shows and things like that would be much, much easier for me now, at least for the next month or two. Because again, that's the nice thought that I'm not, you know, other than doing some volunteering, I don't have to go, oh no, I'm going in at, you know, however many hours on set days. Gas Mask Guy says a load of sort of random letters. You're right. I can't see your picture very well, but is that like a Cerebus from Manhunt in your little profile picture? I don't know if I can click it and make it bigger. I saw a thing on it, but I've not actually seen it properly, Visa. As in, yeah, it looks a bit like a Cerebus on your little profile picture. I don't know if it is. But yeah, like I saw a couple of news articles about it, but I didn't click properly into them. At the moment, Daniel, good. But like I said, I've said a few times during the stream, and if you saw the community post thing, I had to hand my notice in for health reasons, basically, at my job. So I'm in a bit of a weird sort of situation at the moment, where you know, I don't really know what I'm doing, and you know everything else. But you know, I'm at least in a situation where I'm not going to become homeless, you know, because I need to immediately find a job tomorrow, kind of thing. So at the moment, I'm just chilling a bit, making sure I'm not spending money, which I've already failed at once this stream when somebody linked a really cool NBC suit. No, I hadn't. So there's a load of, again, the thing is though, over the last week, because of like all the stuff going on with me, there's lots of stuff I've not really paid attention to. And I've also caught up with a mate I've not, like one of my best mates that I haven't talked with in ages because of, you know, both of us having stuff going on and that. So that was really nice. So at the moment, you know, I'm trying to spend time chatting with him as well. Yeah, but like I said, that's been the thing recently, that obviously when you've got lots of stress and stuff going on, I've not really been doing anything interesting that I'd enjoy. You know, I didn't feel like playing video games, didn't want to do YouTube videos. What's my favorite surplus gas mask? Right, when you say surplus, do you mean, I assume, ones that aren't current gen? I don't know if I'll be immediately available, Visa. In theory, I can definitely get one, I think, in a couple of months' time. But I think there's different criteria on that, like, you know, with having to constantly look for work and whatever. And like I said, what I want to do is just do the YouTube stuff until I find something I actually really want to do, and just be careful with my money, in all honesty. Although I have heard, and again, I don't think this is necessarily helpful for the economy, that more people are being told now when they're like on out of work benefits, that they literally don't have to look for a job if they don't want to. I'll get around to answering you in a second, Daniel. Out of the Soviet ones, the SHUMS, you know, SHMS, out of the standard gas masks. But like I said earlier, the IP4M is really cool as an actual rebreather. I wish the IP4M had a face piece of a filter attachment for it. Yeah, sounds pretty fascinating about that guy walking around the world. I suppose he's lucky he's nearly got around and made it, because imagine there's some places walking through where people be just trying to like rob and kill you non-stop. Any country Cold War era, then S10. Cannot work for Russia. Well, so what, did he divert all through like Kazakhstan and I'm surprised bits of Africa weren't the most dangerous, but yeah, I imagine in some of like the narco territories of South America, they'd be pretty similar to Africa. Oh, and yeah, just physically being in jungle and that. Well, the Amazon. The Amazon's the big jungle in, well, I suppose the Amazon's the river, isn't it? But it's the Amazon rainforest is the jungle in South America. And then the Jeff Bezos jungle. Ah, okay. Darien Gap, completely not what I was thinking of. Is that the guy's name, or is that the name of the jungle? Ah, so yeah, it is just literally a hive of scum and villainy. Oh, and speaking of that, Disney has finally realized they can print money by doing the very original Star Wars remastered, as in the 77 or 78, whenever it was, remastered, you know, without Lucas fucking around with CGI and changing things. A bit like 4K 77 or whatever it's called. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was going to say. The problem is they're a bit late, aren't they? Because yar har fiddly dee, 4K 77 already exists for me. But yeah, it's still good that it's going to be an actual like thing. But yeah, again, unless George Lucas contractually said you can't do it before this point when he sold him Star Wars. You know, I don't know why they took this long. You'd have thought as soon as they bought the Star Wars rights, that would be, right, this is how we print the money. Original trilogy remastered as it was. It's a bit like with the game remasters. That would be one of the few things I would want to see in the cinema. You know, it's like with some of the games, like, oh, are there any new games coming out I'm interested in? Why is the S10 my favourite Cold War mask? Because it's just genuinely good. It's comfortable, it fits my face well. It's got, although the eyepieces are fairly brittle, you can put good outserts on them. You know, you can attach radio comms to it. If he himself makes it and doesn't just stick his name on it and let other people make it, that might be quite good. But yeah, if he does it and does like a proper sequel to it or whatever. We won't talk about that on here, Retro, just because of how bad YouTube's got with some of the stuff, as I was saying earlier. Because that is definitely the sort of thing they wouldn't want you speaking about on here. And like I said, because I got the stream taken down before recently for talking about stuff like that, we're not going to talk about it. But yeah, I will go off now, because again, this room gets horribly warm even in the winter with this light on. There we go, I'll turn that light off now and you have bad quality. Right, if I do a stream tomorrow, can't promise I will, but if I do a stream tomorrow, I'm going to try that webcam one where you have that and the vertical stream at the same time. And we'll see how that does for views. But thanks for coming on, everyone. So yeah, don't forget to like the stream on your way out and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And so like I said, I can get around to doing videos and that again now. And all that sort of jazz. But yeah, so there you go. So if you didn't know, like I said with my post the other day, had to give up my job for health reasons, you know, some of them physical at the moment, you know, some of them mental with the sort of, you know, all the stress of it getting on top of me. Currently now, you know, not gonna really look for a job until at least in the new year, so I can get through Christmas and actually enjoy it. And then yeah, so more time for doing YouTube, but I can't really buy any surplus. We've already broken that rule today. So anyway, you can attach a hose to an S10 yet, because it's a 40mm port on the side. So you can either do it with the ones that do like that or the ones that go vertically down like that. Right, yeah, thanks everybody. You all have a good good day, good evening, whatever. I will catch everybody hopefully tomorrow at some point. Right, see you all, goodbye. Oh yeah, I need to end this on here, I imagine. Oh, 40 NATO because it's an S10.